You let me know. Okay, council, if we can get a mover and a seconder to call the meeting to order. That was a mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Peter Kistemaker, second by Councillor Dragos Stefanic. Be it resolved that we do call this regular meeting of council to order on Wednesday, March 22nd, 2023 at 6:03 p.m. Those in favor? And that is carried. Yeah. Okay, Belinda, I'll hand it off to you.
The Council of the Corporation of the Township of Hornepayne would like to begin by respectfully acknowledging that the land on which we gather here today is the Treaty 9, 1905-1906 territory, the traditional lands of Indigenous peoples. As we work towards reconciliation, may we all live with respect on this land and live in peace and friendship with all its diverse peoples.
Thank you, Councillor Kistemaker. And we'll continue on to the approval of the agenda. If I can get a mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Belinda Kistemaker, second by Councillor Peter Kistemaker. Be it resolved that council does hereby approve the agenda as presented. And if there's none opposed, we'll call that carried. Moving on to declaration of pecuniary interest, declaration of conflict of interest. You can state that now or at any time throughout the meeting if the situation arises. So item number 5 is our correspondence action items. 5.1 is the Algoma District Services Administration Board discussion. So as you know, council, I sent this email to all the 3 communities as our ADSAB rep, and I'm looking for direction. And I can take further direction from our strategic planning as well on Saturday. So I open the floor for discussion. Pass me a pen, please, Eileen. Yeah, go ahead, Councillor Stefanic.
Yeah, I think it's a good correspondence. I'm not sure exactly what you're driving at, because you're the rep on behalf of the communities, right? I'm not really sure what you're precisely looking for.
Okay.
I did read a few times over, because, I mean, you still have a board that you got to work with, right? My overall impression was, listening to Belinda previously a few times, that the small municipality have much say. I mean, that would be one that everybody has a say. I mean, that just globally, I'm saying now. And also, if there any funds or monies for housing, we like to be included as well as small communities. But I wouldn't want to get too involved with your board because you have certain mandates, as I've read here as well. But those are 2 issues I'd like to see happen.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, basically what I am looking for from our council is that, so there's 4 pillars that ADSAB takes care of: housing, paramedic services, children's services, Ontario Works. And we are looking at updating the constitution at the board. So if there was any areas that you thought, oh, this should be changed or that, and then also because I do speak for the other 2 communities, we need to know what they wanted as well, right? So that's basically the gist of. And then when we look at housing, is that something that as our council, we'd like to see the Housing Corporation do, is work with ADSAB to bring further housing? That would be one topic. Go ahead, Councillor Kistemaker.
My biggest concern at the time is our paramedic services. How we go, we have lots of legs in the service and people don't realize this, but I was told that we only have 1 paramedic on duty or 1 ambulance attendant, they're not allowed to go, but this also is a 2 deep rule. So even though we have people, we're paying for the service, we do not have the service. And there's days over half of the week that we don't have service. So if you're going to fall down and hurt yourself, you better pick the right day or we will have nothing.
Okay, so are you looking at different, so 2 things there. We definitely need the service all 24/7, but then is there a communication strategy you'd like to see if we are without service?
See more openness where whoever does the scheduling tell us as it is, because there's always going to be something done when it's in numbers. But if people are in the dark and don't know the facts of it, we just see that people at the ambulance depot and we think that everything's fine, but meanwhile it's not. And there's going to come a time where we're going to require that service, and it's going to be a terrible time when something terrible, someone's going to die because of it.
Okay.
And you know, and in any event of any emergency, when it happens, it's minutes count. And, yeah.
Okay, thank you for that, Councillor Kistemaker. Councillor Kistemaker Belinda?
Being on that board, what I found really frustrating was you're responsible for 3 communities. And because you're responsible for 3 communities, you're not hearing from everyone. I think when it comes to our services, we need more openness and more communication amongst us 3 in order to go forward, because what might work in one town does not work in another town. And I really believe they don't hear what they should be hearing from us. And that I would like to break and have a better communication process. At least if we have to follow the guidelines of what is set up, at least amongst the 3 of us, more openness and more a better strategy of communicating.
Okay, thank you for that, Belinda, but I do have 2 questions for clarity. When you say, or to hear from us, are you talking about that we're not hearing back from ADSAB themselves, or that the communities aren't hearing from the ADSAB rep, or there's no communication there?
So first of all, we were supposed to be getting a presentation from ADSAB, and it never really happened. I think White River got it, but I don't think the rest of us did. Second of all, there has to be, when it comes to worrying about our paramedic services, for instance, we're not hearing what's going on in each other's communities, and it has to be connected somehow. It has to. I still feel that each of us should be representing our own community, but if it can't happen, we have to have another process within.
Okay, I got you. Thank you for that. Councillor Sheneman?
I would have to agree that the paramedic is probably the most visible and the most important of those 3 to be able to, just because on a daily basis, that's a service that could be required at an instant at any time. Whereas the others are an ongoing process and certainly equally as important, but not on a daily basis. So that would be to be able to ensure that we have that paramedic service available has to be something that we have to figure out how to maintain that.
Thank you for that. Councillor Kistemaker, go ahead. Belinda?
I just wanted to add that when you're talking about paramedic services, they look at volumes. Everything speaks volumes. And when you look at I don't know how to change it, because when you look at the volume and the activity, we're a small area compared to what's going on in Elliott Lake or Espanola, let's just say. And how do you compete with that? That's when it comes to talking about volumes, it's a big concern for me.
So I think we've talked about this.
Yeah, it doesn't say the true picture. It doesn't show it. But
Yeah,
that's what they go on.
There needs to be a different measuring. Yeah. And when ADSAB looks at it as a board, everything looks good. But when you look at it individually and what people have to say, there's it has to be better. Okay, I put this question to council because right now we do only have the 1 rep to the 3 committees. And in the email, my recommendation is that we have inner circle ADSAB working group so it would be myself and Eileen that would meet throughout the year, 3 more meetings this year, and that we keep abreast so that the community through the CAO knows what's going on, and then council would know from myself, and I'm hoping that the other 2 communities would agree to that as well. And I'm just looking for Hornepayne, if it seems like a favorable option, or if you have a better option, that's fine.
Mhm.
Councillor Steiner, go
Yeah,
ahead.
I have to comment on Councillor Peters. To me, what he's saying, that's factual. That's very concerning to me. I did not know that we do not have coverage every day, 7 days. That's concerning. If a person gets a heart attack, first thing you'll be calling is not calling your mother, your father, your neighbor. And I think that's a major flaw. If they're not able to provide that service, they have to notify the public, directly the public. I mean, I can't believe what I was hearing. They have to get their act together, because if there's a major accident, heart attack, whatever the case may be, you need that ambulance to transport that person from point A to point B. We don't have it. We don't know it. We have a problem. I can't believe I heard that.
Yeah, it has been raised before at ADSAB's table, and we did talk about it, and we'll continue addressing it. So
People should be, sorry, the people have to be notified then. If my wife has a heart attack, I want to know, if we have ambulance services, or do I have to put her in the car and go 150 kilometers an hour to the hospital? That's to me and everybody else in this community.
yes, the concern though, that from the ADSAB's perspective with paramedic services, as soon as the ambulance is deployed though, we're without an ambulance. So they can't be announcing that once the ambulance is deployed. So there's has to be some sort of communication method that we're kept safe. Go ahead, Councillor
Once
Kissmaker.
it goes out on a call, we have no ambulance service,
Yes.
which that would be foregone conclusion. But yes, I would agree with that. But I agree with Councilor Stefanik. It should be notified, and we should maybe have a weekly thing that we talk about over, like, at a report to CFNO. Just the more ears here, because there's a lot of things that are happening that people don't realize. And when this information was brought to me, I couldn't believe it, that we had over 50% of every 7 days, over 50% of the time, we have zero coverage. Zero. And I had no clue. I was quite comfortable not knowing. Yeah.
That's usually what happens, right?
Yeah.
Once we know, it's like, oh gosh, how did we get on this table?
That's right.
Exactly. Go ahead, Councillor Kissmaker. Belinda.
At a board level, you wouldn't know about it unless it was brought up as a huge concern. So again, there's some major flaws on how everything is looked at.
Sorry,
And
Belinda, I
like
didn't catch that last.
I feel there's some major flaws in how things are looked at, and I know White River's been fighting them steady on a few things that have happened over there, and it just seems like it doesn't get anywhere. So I don't know. There's got to be a better way.
Okay, thank you for that. Okay, so before I move on to the next item, I would just like to know if Hornepayne, this is ahead of our strategic planning, but we did set up a housing corporation. So if there's an opportunity for housing, affordable housing or a build, that would be something we would want to seek out from ADSAB and partner with? Okay. Okay, is there any further comments or just points on this item before we move on? Councillor Kissmaker, Belinda, go ahead.
So just to add to the ADSAB and the housing, ADSAB does have a lot of projects going all over the place, really, and they try to be fair to their clients and to do something. So the last big thing that they have done there is the housing done for the seniors in Wawa. And I think the next one they were looking at is probably doing something in Blind River. So they do things. Again, I like to stress that when we're talking about the North and them doing these projects, I feel that there's something that we're missing there as well. And I don't know how you would deal with that, because you only have one vote for the north, and then there's Wawa. Okay, so that's what I'm trying to get across. There's, they do try to be fair. However, when it comes to the needs and the places that they deal with, sometimes I felt like you were, you'd have to wait your turn somewhere down the line.
Okay, but then there's definitely opportunity now, though, to get the material into our documents, like our documents, and then White River and Duberville, that we're looking at, that we need that housing, so that it's there and it can be brought forward to that table then. Okay, if there's nothing further, I'm thinking that there will have to be a resolution from council or a motion for the housing at some point. If it's in our strategic planning, we can wait for that. But at some point about ensuring that we have documentation supporting that for me at that table, so. Okay, and if there's nothing else, you're welcome to contact me at any time through my mayor email if you have any discussion points about ADSAB, or that you have any thoughts of the upcoming constitution as well. And without further ado, we'll move on to 5.2, the Ministry of Natural Resources and Forestry Public Lands Act. Was any members of council able to participate on Monday, March 20th in the webinar? I'm not seeing any. So we were looking at last council meeting, we had discussed putting in a group comment. Is there any further thought on that of what council would like to address in the changes? And the comment period does close on April 11th, 2023. Do we have a meeting before April 11th, 2023?
Yeah, April 5th. So.
5th, okay. Okay, if there's no comments to be made, I would suggest that each council member can put their own comments in and we take it off our agenda. Is that suitable for Councillor Kistemaker and Sheneman on the TV? On the screen, thank you. Okay, we have 5.3, the OCWA Ontario Clean Water Agency. Eileen, did you want to speak to this first?
Sure. So you'll see in the agenda that there's the report from OCWA. And I just wanted to note that if council does have any questions, that I will note them and be able to bring them back to OCWA, who should be able to get an answer back to council by the end of this week. And I also wanted to advise council just that there is potentially another option. OCWA is working on another option right now, or the potential for another option, but they're just gathering information at this point, just to ensure that it's actually feasible. And they're hoping to be able to gather all the information and present it in person to council at the next, sorry, not at the next meeting, potentially in May, which might be the end of May, that meeting.
Okay, so I'll open up for the floor for comment or questions or discussion from council. Councillor Stefanik, go ahead.
Yeah, through Mayor, thank you. 2.6 million on a question. I stand on a firm, I'm not going to discuss that amount. The original was, it was in the ballpark. My humble opinion, they have to look at other research, the other areas. They have to. I mean, we're a small community, we just can't afford that massive amounts. My question, however, is when this plant was built, was that system in place of Dechlorination, or is this something going to be adding to it? Why, when it was done, why wasn't it added at the beginning of the project?
My understanding, Eileen can get clarification for you, but is that it's a new system that needs to be put in. It's a standard that's been increased. It's UV. And I believe we have, I think it says it in the letter, till 2025, I believe we have. But we are working on an agreement. Sorry, it's in the agreement.
I got the whole thing, yeah.
So I agree with you, Councillor Stefanik. When I saw the amounts, I totally agree. There's no way that our small municipality can pay for that type of upgrade to our plant. And I'm in agreement. I actually made the suggestion during our agenda meeting to push ACWA's invitation to come after like the last meeting in May to give them enough time to build a good report. But currently, I believe, just clarification from the treasurer through the CAO, that this was already built into our current budget.
Yes, it was.
At the way it is now. So we can continue on with our budgeting process. There's nothing hindering us there. And then we can get the fulsome report and make a decision. We are going to have to, at some point, make a change. But it's how do we find that money, right? Councillor Kistemaker, go ahead.
Other than money being rejected from provincial and federal government, this is just typical, one other example of the powers that be making rules and increasing the standards to what's been the norm for almost a century, and there's no way of paying for it.
Mhm.
I mean, we are so strapped now, and they're gonna be between a 2.5 to 5 million. I agree with Councilor Stefanik. We stick with the original one unless they want to. I don't know how we can do it.
Mhm.
It's.
I'm wondering with the presentation, when they do come, Eileen, did they mention if they will have a costing of what it will be? Because they said they would try and stay within the 1.1 million.
They should have a costing for
They
sure.
should?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they'll have it by then.
Okay, so
That
that would,
includes like them gathering the info and yes, it shouldn't be as much as this one.
okay, just because we can make those decisions and we can go after funding if we need to.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, I do have a few notes on here. I just want to make sure they were discussed. Is there any comments from on the screen, our hybrid participants?
No, Madam Mayor, I'd be in agreement that we need to be able to find that funding from a provincial budget or something when they're prepared to put these new things in, when they put these new regulations in, then they have to be able to support those initiatives to be able to do that, and can't carte blanche just expect small municipalities to be able to just foot the bill on something that has gone completely beyond an acceptable number. To be 2.5 to 5 times the amount of what we were looking for in the beginning is just totally unacceptable. We need to have some input from the provincial regulators to be able to set something and get some funding available.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Schoeneman. Okay, so there is a motion on the floor. My recommendation was that we can authorize, there's two options. The one is authorize ACWA to move forward with the UV system, which obviously we cannot afford. And the second one's authorize staff and ACWA to research other dechlorination options. So I think that would be the one we're looking at today.
Yes.
Okay, so would you like to speak first? Sorry, go ahead.
I just want to let council know that we did put in an application quite a few years ago to ISIP for this project, and it was denied.
It was denied once already? Okay.
Yeah.
When, do we know when we put that, which year that was?
I want to say it was around 2018.
2018?
I can look back and say your comment.
Okay,
When the ISIP first came out.
well, I'm thinking if it was 2018, that's favorable, because that was when the change of government happened and they scrapped that old budget. So we might have an opportunity to try again. So, okay, sorry, can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Stefanik, second by Councillor Peter Kistemaker. Whereas the federal wastewater systems effluent regulations, WSER, came into effect on January 1st, 2021, stating that the annual average total residual chlorine, TRC, must be below 0.2, I think that's milligrams per liter on the effluent. And whereas the Ministry of the Environment, Conservation and Parks, MECP, approved the use of dechlorination pucks by the Ontario Clean Water Agency, OCWA, as an interim measure in order for the Hornepayne wastewater treatment to meet the WSER regulatory requirements. And whereas through Resolution 2020-291, Council accepted a proposal from OCWA to complete a wastewater dechlorination project using a UV system for the Hornepayne wastewater treatment plant in the amount of $1.1 million, $4,874. And whereas OCWA has provided Council with a report advising that the pricing for this project has drastically increased during the COVID-19 pandemic, with the two bids received being approximately 2.6 million and one at approximately 5.4 million. And Council and requests Council's direction on how to proceed. Therefore, be it resolved that after consideration and discussion, the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Hornepayne does hereby authorize staff and OCWA to research other dechlorination options. If there's no further discussion on this item, I put that to a vote. Those in favor? And that is carried, none opposed. So moving to item 5.4 is the Association of Municipalities of Ontario Housing and Homelessness Update. And this is a support resolution for AMO. Is there any discussion on the information provided? I do have a couple of concerns on the motion itself sitting as is, and this is an actual recommended motion from AMO. And I wasn't sure if in the past how we worded our motions in this with directing possibly the province or the Association of Municipalities of Ontario. And it was item number C. It's work with the Association of Municipalities of Ontario and a broad range of community health, Indigenous and economic partners to develop, resource, and implement an action plan to achieve this goal. And I was just concerned that I was concerned about the wording, totally. But it's up to council on how they would like to proceed. And obviously, I am definitely in favor of trying to combat homelessness in our province. That is not up for debate from me personally. Councillor Stefanik, go ahead.
I would like to change, Mayor. Please advise me. I want to hear your input. I'd like to hear it better.
Well, the way that we've been approaching government is that we try and come alongside the initiatives they're doing, so we end up with a win-win. Mm-hmm. And that's where I'm feeling that this resolution doesn't maybe necessarily do that. Okay. And but it will be amongst a lot of resolutions. I don't think it's but that was where, and I had to speak that, I had to voice that because we have talked about aligning ourselves with our values and our principles when we are passing resolutions, and that that was my discussion on that. Okay. That's why. But if it's not a concern of council, we can, there's no need to change it either. I just want that voiced as well. Councillor Stefanik, go ahead.
We'll proceed with this one, but maybe in the future we can look at it and fine tune it further, what you're suggesting. I do agree with you.
Okay.
This one, instead of belaboring the point, let's pass it.
Yeah, I don't think this one is needs to be significantly changed.
There's hundreds of them on the table.
Yes, yes. So if I can get a mover and a seconder, and we can further up that discussion. Moved by Councillor Peter Kistemaker, second by Councillor Belinda Kistemaker. Whereas the homeless crisis is taking on devastating toll on families and communities, undermining a healthy and prosperous Ontario, and whereas the homelessness crisis is the result of underinvestment and poor policy choices of successive provincial governments, and whereas homelessness requires a range of housing, social services, and health solutions from government, and whereas homelessness is felt most at the level of local government and the residents they serve, and whereas municipalities and district social administration boards are doing their part, but do not have resources, capacity, or tools to address this complex challenge, and whereas leadership and urgent action is needed from the provincial government on an emergency basis to develop, resource, and implement a comprehensive plan to prevent, reduce, and ultimately end homelessness in Ontario. Therefore, be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Hornepayne does hereby call the provincial government to urgently, A, acknowledge that homelessness in Ontario is a social, economic, and health crisis, B, commit to ending homelessness in Ontario, and C, work with the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, AMO, as a broad range of community, health, and Indigenous and economic partners to develop, resource, and implement an action plan to achieve this goal. Be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be sent to the Honorable Steve Clark, Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, the Honorable Mary Lee Fullerton, Minister of Children, Community and Social Services, the Honorable Sylvia Jones, Minister of Health, and to the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, AMO. And if there's no further discussion, we'll put that to a vote. Those in favor? And that is passed. Okay, moving on to item number 6 is information only. If I can get a mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Drago-Stefanik, second by Councillor Peter Kistemaker. Be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Hornepayne does hereby acknowledge receipt of the correspondence information only package attached to the agenda of the regular meeting of council held on Wednesday, March 22nd, 2023. And is there any discussion on any of the items in the information only? Councillor Drago-Stefanik, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm looking at the railway crossing. I see we're still stuck in square one. I mean, I think that was a waste of letter in the first instance minister's time to respond to us. What he's telling us, we're already doing it. We still have the same problem, probably a little greater now than usual financially. So nothing was done.
Yes, it was. So we are moving forward. There is a plan in place and the staff is working. So this, and I voiced similar concerns in our meeting.
Wow. He's a busy person, I guess.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Stefanik. I just want to point to 6.3 for council's information that the draft municipal energy plan will be coming back to council, that it's there for your to look at and read, and we will be discussing that in the future. Oh, you got it printed. Look at you.
That's well done, by the way. Just let you know that I started reading the first 20 pages. It's good.
Okay. The other item I wanted to point out was 6.7 was the parliamentary assistant role update. And if you'll notice, MPP Kevin Holland has been switched to the Minister of Northern Development, which I was really pleased to see, excited. And we are working with the Ministry of Northern Development for our homework project. So I'm hopeful this will, he'll be able to give us good guidance as well. Was there anything else, Eileen, from that section that you wanted to point out as well, or?
I did want to mention for 6.3, the municipal energy plan, that this should get, we should be able to get it back onto, for council's input and review, for April 5th. And, at that point, then it'll go on, I think 2 weeks to review the document. It should hopefully be okay for council because it is a hefty document. And then at that point, it would be returned to OCWA.
Okay, so what are you looking at from council on the 5th? You want input into the document or any questions they have?
Yeah, just any comments, input, concerns. And then at that point, it would go back to OCWA and sorry, also back to the ministry for them to review as well.
Okay. Okay, if there's nothing further from the information only package, I'll put that motion to acknowledge receipt to a vote. Those in favor? And that is carried. Okay, item number 7 is committee board updates. So we had a discussion last meeting and we passed the two ad hoc, or two, not ad hoc committees, the 2 committees. And these are motions on the floor to rescind and then appoint. So if I can get a mover and a seconder for 7.1, moved by Councillor Peter Kistemaker, second by Councillor Belinda Kistemaker, whereas council appointed members and staff to the Cemetery Board, Recreation Committee, Waste Management Committee, and the Centre of Ontario Ad Hoc Committee during their inaugural meeting on November 15th, 2022. And whereas in order to streamline processes and better utilize council and staff resources, council has decided to consolidate their committees into 2 advisory committees, the Community Development Advisory Committee, CDAC, and the Operations Advisory Committee, OAC, with the intention to form subcommittees and or task forces to focus on specific topics. Therefore, be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Hornepayne does hereby rescind resolution number 2022-342, appoint to the Cemetery Board, resolution number 2022-343, appoint to Recreation Committee, resolution number 2022-344, appoint to the Waste Management Committee, and resolution number 2022-345, appoint to the Centre of Ontario Ad Hoc Committee. And is there any comments or further discussion on that motion? There being none, I put that to a vote. Those in favor? And that is carried. Moving on to 7.2 is the Community Development Advisory Committee appointment. If I can get a mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Drago-Stefanik, second by Councillor Ted Sheneman. Be it resolved that council does hereby appoint the following to the Township of Hornepayne Community Development Advisory Committee. And I think it's being called CDAC. And we need 2 council members and a staff. Okay, we have Councillor Drago-Stefanik. And we will need 1 more council member. Councillor Ted Sheneman. And a staff member.
I believe for this one, it would probably be best for Stacy to be on it.
Okay, Stacy Rendell.
Yes.
Okay. So with those 3 members, Councillor Drago-Stefanik, Councillor Ted Sheneman, and staff member Stacy Rendell, Economic Development Officer, I put that to a vote. Those in favor? And that is carried. Okay, 7.3 is the Operations Advisory Committee, OAC appointment. Be it resolved that I need a mover and a seconder. Please move by Councillor Peter Kistemaker, second by Councillor Councillor Drago-Stefanik, thank you. Be it resolved that council does hereby appoint the following to the Township of Hornepayne Operations Advisory Committee, the OAC. I need 2 members of council and a staff member. Councillor Peter Kistemaker. And we need 1 more councillor, Councillor Belinda Kistemaker. And we need a staff member.
And then for this one, we'd like, it'd be best if Dwayne sits on this one.
Okay, and the staff is Mr. Dwayne Goodrow, the Public Works Manager. And I put that to a vote. Those in favor? And that is carried. Okay, and 7.4 is council committee updates. So we'll go around the table, starting to my right. Councillor Kistemaker, go ahead.
I have nothing to add at this time. There hasn't been any meetings I've been to or anything, so.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Kistemaker. Councillor Belinda Kistemaker.
I don't have anything.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Ted Sheneman.
Again, with our hospital committee, we're looking at juggling staff shortages and some retirements and some resignations that have sort of thrown things into a bit of a loop, but there looks like there's temporary measures to be able to fix those positions in the short term. So all in all, it is stable, but there are some gaps to be filled.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Schoenemann. And Councillor Stefanik.
Yeah, thank you. I got a few actually.
Okay,
The last meeting I wasn't here, was ill, so I apologize for that. In the correspondence of last time, I put a full dossier from the essential municipal fire protection. They had some great ideas, and I would highly recommend if you bring them in for a presentation. I think we have to be in touch and not to oversee anybody I want everybody to realize the liability as a municipality have. And I think there's a lot of questions that was put during the workshop I didn't have answers for, and the public doesn't know what part of fire service do we cover. Like, I think it was Brad, Mike, and Ryan did a fantastic job. I think it's really crucial. Let the administration, if their contacts right in this brochure, they have the contact in this one. Whatever they decide, it would be really appropriate, I think.
okay.
I really do.
Do you, just a question for you, Councillor Stefanik, did they mention during the training that they do provide? Oh, they do? Okay,
No cost, and as long as it's in the schedule, we'll be glad to come.
okay.
Are you talking about the?
I would definitely second that. We should have that,
You'll give us an insight.
right?
So, because I certainly don't know what's fire service we should have, don't have. I mean, I'm talking about not the administration, I'm talking about the global coverage of our citizens in our community. I think that's crucial.
Okay. Councillor Kistemaker, Councillor Schoenemann, are you in agreement with that as well, of having a presentation on the fire services on a more broad level? Okay,
Okay, thank you. The library board, we have next meeting is March 27th, and also it's really crucial, our board members, it was mandatory, we took 2 different courses online, working together on human rights code, and also we integrated our accessibility standards with 7 sections, about 6.5 hours, and every board member and our staff did that online, so just let people know that we're in touch what's happening, and it was done through the library services, and it was a real good eye-opener for us.
oh, good, good.
PHU had a Board of Health Finance Committee tomorrow virtual, tomorrow evening, and the PHU Board of Health meeting next week. Keeping the theme of bringing people in, I spoke to Dr. Catton, the MOH CEO, and also said she went to most of the communities except ours because of COVID hit. She was in Cochrane the last 3 years ago. I think we also nice to have her here and present the vision of PHU. Again, let people, like, we're talking about communications, we're talking about the other board, right? Let's have communication, and again, administration to set it up, or whatever it's allowed, maybe May, June, it doesn't matter, but I'd like to see that as well.
Well, definitely on her schedule when she'd want, but I would love to host Dr. Catton. She was just instrumental in helping us through the pandemic, and through all the pressures that were put before her, she always showed up positive and with a we can do this attitude. Like, it was, and I can't even imagine. I don't know where she fit in sleep during that pandemic.
She was quite busy.
Yeah,
And I think it'd be crucial to have her here as well.
okay,
And if you give her a couple of dates, I did speak to her last meeting, I'll speak to her again next week. I'll say that administration is trying to reach out to her, so I'll give her direct number to her after the meeting, so.
okay. Is there any other information you need for that to set up 2 presentations for us at council?
I don't think so. I can get the information for the essentials of municipal,
It's right there, yeah.
on the presentation. And then, sorry, for Dr. Catton, what was she part of again? That
She's in Port Line Health in the PHU. And you know what, I'll send you the phone numbers tonight. When I get home, I have it in my file.
Okay.
I'll send it to Gary tonight.
and just what the
The phone
presentation.
number, to talk to her directly when she's available. She said, give her a couple of dates and that she'll work around it.
Yeah, she's the chief medical officer.
And as well as CEO.
Yeah. And CEO?
Yeah. When our CEO retired, we combined the 2 positions.
Oh, my goodness.
Mhm.
Wow.
And she was for it, so I mean, it was good. She was agreeable. She actually
Yeah.
wanted it, yeah.
Okay.
We
Wow.
agree. I think she'd be a real good resource here.
Oh, yeah, she's, I have nothing but the utmost respect for her. It'd be a pleasure to meet her in person.
Yeah.
And so how long has she been holding that dual title?
Been now, I would say just 3 years.
3 years,
Yeah,
eh?
3 years.
Okay,
Okay, thank you so much, that helped.
okay. My only update is from our last meeting. I have had a couple of different meetings, but today we did have our first housing supply action plan implementation team meeting, which was I was great. I'm so happy to be a part of it. I'm so happy to see it moving forward. And the team members were released, as you know, back about 2 weeks ago of all the different team members. So it's a team of 9, and we'll be meeting several times over the course of the next year. So I'm excited about that. And that's it, I guess. Okay, so moving on to other business, we have the biannual service delivery review report. If I can get a mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Drago-Stefanik, second by Councillor Peter Kistemaker. Be it resolved that Council of the Corporation Township of Hornepayne does hereby acknowledge receipt of staff report number CAOSR 2023-07, report on service delivery review recommendations, July-December 2022, as provided by Aline Singh, CAO Clerk. And I open up the floor for any discussion or comments on the report. Okay, so this will be our final report from the SDR, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And is there, I apologize. Did you mention any of the outstanding initiatives? Are they moving into another type of reporting, or are we moving those to the strategic plan?
I think it'll be a combination of both, probably. We'll have to go through the strategic planning and then see. But for the most part, a lot of these will probably get moved to either the strategic plan or just into the departmental work plan.
Okay. No, go ahead.
Sorry, I just wanted to make a comment for council. If you go to the biannual, it should be the SDR report card, which is for 8.1, but it says SR. Sorry, that's a mistake on my,
Okay, sorry, what are we looking at?
so right underneath my report, it says biannual SR report card. It's just missing the D. It should be SDR report card.
Oh, in item 8.1?
Yes.
Okay.
And then if you click on that and you go to the end, there's actually a chart at the very back that lists everything that's been completed, everything that's outstanding, everything that was completed in, I think, prior to that. So from 2019 to July 2022. So those are pages, I believe, yeah, it's 14 to 19.
Perfect. You know, is there sorry to interrupt, Eileen, because I didn't see these. Is there some way we can divide the link? Because I thought it was one link, and I did that when we were in our agenda meeting too, for another item coming up.
So
Go ahead.
let
Yes.
the deputy clerk speak to that.
Oh, go ahead.
So
Jen?
I did try to research that, and they told me there's no way to actually separate them, but what I could do alternatively is number them.
That would be great,
Yeah.
because I hit the top, and I think it's all one, and I guess I could hit each one and try to, but numbering would be perfect, Jen, that would be great.
Yeah, no problem.
And then there would be no excuse for me not to be prepared. Oh, you're gonna hold it to me, aren't you, counselors? You said.
It's okay, my
Brutal
mom's the
truth.
clerk today.
Thank you for that. Sorry, Eileen.
Oh, I was just going to say, if numbering doesn't work or it gets confusing, you could also do bullets.
Oh, yeah, that would work too, just to show that they're separate.
Yeah, like one
You
bullet.
can't bullet, I tried doing that before. They don't bullet, it doesn't show up in the actual.
No worries. Numbers it is.
Okay.
It's like, where's Waldo? Same thing, you look for it.
Well, then I wouldn't ask my question if I seen this. Obviously, I didn't see it.
I didn't see it the first time either, to be honest.
And I even went through an agenda meeting and didn't see it. I'm like, oh, gosh, okay. Okay, okay, so one thing I would request, can I get a printout of this, item, just so I can look at it before our strategic planning meeting on Saturday, please?
Yes,
Thank you.
sure.
You'd like one as well?
Yeah,
I'll just print it for, all of council that will be present.
Yes, for sure. I'd just like my copy. I'll grab it tomorrow if that's okay.
Yeah, me too. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, if there's no other further items or topics or questions on this item, I'm gonna put the motion to a vote. Those in favor? And that is carried. Okay, our item number 8.2 is the annual strategic plan report. If I can get a mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Peter Kistemaker, second by Councillor Ted Sheneman. Be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Hornepayne does hereby acknowledge receipt of the staff report CAO SR 2023-08, annual report on strategic plan objectives 2022 is provided by Eileen Singh, CAO. And I need to go to that. Any discussion or questions? Okay, I had a couple that, sorry, Councillor, I had my head down. Was there any questions or comments from council? No? Okay. I had a couple. I just, I did get clarification, but I asked in our agenda meeting with the treasurer and the CAO about the 10-year long-range capital forecast, because I couldn't remember us adopting that. And I was informed that it's in our asset management plan. And the other one that I was wondering about was what the smart partnerships are, because I wasn't sure what that meant on there.
Unfortunately,
That's
I
right.
totally forgot to mention this as well, that Stacy is unwell, so she wasn't able to attend the
No
meeting.
problem.
So I wasn't able to get clarification on that one yet, but I will definitely get clarification for council, and perhaps this can even be addressed on this Saturday, on the 25th.
Okay. And I think that was it. Go ahead.
I just wanted to add the same thing for the annual strategic plan report. If you click on the second link, so on this one, it kind of looks like it's a third. It's the report card. I know. I can print this one as well for council, just because this one will be really handy for the meeting on.
Thank you so much.
And, yeah, same thing. It says all the things that have been completed in 2022, and then the outstanding key priorities, that are left, and then everything that was completed in 2021.
Thank you for pointing that out. I appreciate that so much. My goodness.
I'll start numbering.
Thank you, Jen. I just find it funny, like, oh gosh, you must have been looking at me like, did Cheryl even have coffee this morning when we met? Okay. Okay, if there's no other questions or revelations, I'll put that to a vote. Those in favor? And that is carried. Okay, 8.3 is the management vacation policy and draft amendment. I open up the floor for questions or comments. First of all, Eileen, you'd like to speak to this first, sorry?
Yes, so I just wanted to let council know, sorry, I'm just pulling it up on mine as well, that there's two draft policies here. The first one is the draft management vacation policy, which essentially hasn't changed from the last time it was on the agenda. But the draft employment benefits now reads, it has the same wording as in the vacation policy, which is pulled from the QP agreement. So essentially those two policies now reflect, well, they have the same wording, and they kind of have the same messaging as well.
Okay, so when we go to pass these policies, we will be rescinding bylaw number 1320, or are we adding a new schedule, or we'll be doing something of that sort?
I think it'll be repealing and rescinding from what I recall, but perhaps the deputy clerk might have some further information.
Okay,
For 1320,
Yes.
so it'll be when similar to when we amend other things, essentially, it'll be a brand new bylaw, and then in it, it'll say bylaw 1320 is hereby repealed.
Okay. So we'll repeal it and then we have a brand new bylaw.
Yeah, all in one go.
Okay,
And then the treasurer has it.
go ahead.
I just have something to clarify. Sorry that I didn't see it before, Eileen, but in the employee benefits and officers head of departments, in item 3B, it says department heads get $75 6-month intervals to wear protective clothing. That was negotiated in our contract, and during the negotiations, they requested to have $75, but the previous QP agreement said 200 or 250, so we weren't able to go down to that 75, so it's actually 200 or 250. I'll get you the exact amount, but we don't pay that $75.
Okay.
It's 200 every 6 months?
Yeah, it's 200 or 250. I don't remember exactly what it is.
Okay, so we needed to update it anyway. Really?
Yeah, it's because they downgraded when they signed the agreement, and then it was found after the fact. So the QP bargaining unit said, it's okay, we just have to go back and pay what it was previously.
Okay, okay. Okay, so is there any further comments or questions from council on, so there'll be two, we'll be implementing a new vacation management vacation policy and then doing a new bylaw after we repeal 1320 with the updates. Okay, I'm not hearing any further comments on that agenda item, so I am going to move on to 8.4. And just before we move on, it'll probably be on our April 5th meeting for
Yes.
passing, okay? Okay, so 8.4, we have our draft comprehensive user fees and service charges bylaw, and I open up the floor for discussion from council. Councillor Belinda Kistemaker, go ahead.
I just had one question. I see we talk about marriage licenses and all that. I was just wondering, are we going to have someone eventually do the marriage marriages within Hornepayne again? When we started council back in 2018, I think Shannon, she got her license and then hasn't been around anymore. So is someone going to replace her?
At this point, no, I don't think we have, I don't think it'll be taking place right now, but it is a possibility that it could be something that we offer in the future. And I don't believe it's part of, again, maybe if I can have the treasurer speak through me and provide a bit more information, just because she is more aware, or she was here when that happened, so she has more information to give. But I don't believe it's part of the deputy clerk job description, so it's kind of a bonus, if you will say, but it's,
Extra service.
yeah.
To generate revenue.
Yeah,
Councillor.
yeah, I remember clearly, it was her initiative.
Mhm.
Everything set it up was her initiative. It was really nice to do that, see that.
So as the service charges states though, can we leave them as such? I think I asked this question once before, so I might just need clarity. If we pass the services as such, are we required to offer that service?
No.
No, okay, great. Okay, any other questions from council? Yeah, okay, I have a few. bear with me as I get to my tabs. I want to say that I am in favor of the annual adjustment, that the treasurer is able to annually adjust. And then we were about the jet fuel as well. There's further comments on that, but most of my comments come from the schedules. One question I had in the schedules was, what is an example of an administrative letter of support? And if I can, through UCAO, have the treasurer answer.
And so, administrative letters, often we have, taxpayers come to the town office and ask us to write them letters, how much property taxes they paid over the years, so they can have that document to bring together, to have when they're doing their income taxes. So they can, file that with H&R Block or whatnot, and it takes, quite some time for our administration to process those levels, or those letters, and do the research to compile the information to write the letter, so.
Councillor
Can
Kissinger,
you
go ahead.
access that now with that
Yeah.
city island?
Yeah.
That's really nice of
Yeah.
It's really nice.
Okay, and then the other question that I had was the implementation date for this bylaw. As in discussion with the CAO and the treasurer in our meeting of talking to limit extra work behind the scenes, May 1st was suggested as a good implementation date. That means the arena services would be closed and it would take effect that day, and then any of the tax season, all of that would be closed as well. And that's still a good date between?
Yes.
Yes, okay. And I was in favor of that. Anything that makes things simpler as we transition. And then we had a discussion about the current market price for the Jet A fuel. In the bylaw, I'm looking at page 9, council, it says current market price plus 5% surcharge. And my suggestion to the bylaw was to have a definition of current market price. So it's either a month or whatever the treasurer sees fit, so that someone can't come and say, you know, on this day I fueled and this was the current price, but yet we charge them something else, so that we have a price standard for a longer time period. Just to simplify, Councillor Kissinger, go ahead.
More a question for Dwayne. Would that be set on the time that you get a drop into the tank?
I would say, yeah, what we paid for it, would be the
Yeah.
market price. But I know,
Because if you don't do it, something like that, if you don't have a set up baseline and you drop 10,000 liters and we have it for a period of 2 months, it may drop, the market price could drop, or so we could lose, you know. Trying
Exactly.
to provide a service.
That's exactly it. That's exactly why I was saying we need a definition so that it's, treasurer, go ahead.
I just wanted to advise that I had sent an email previous to the council meeting around 3:00 this afternoon, and I had provided this document in the email, and I've provided you all with a hard copy of it. So, the CAO and I had a conversation today with the consultants, and there was some discrepancies that we found. So I created this schedule so council can see what the proposed fee is compared to our current fee and the difference. And there are some items that they have suggested to change, and then in conversations with staff, the public works manager, as well as the chief building official, there is some items that we would like council's direction in regards to. So if Mayor, you could go through it with council page by page and provide us some direction to the supplementary information or the adjusted costs.
Okay, great. Thank you for this extra work. And I want to say that we had, in our discussion, we ran into several issues with it when we adopted our water and wastewater rates that we didn't foresee. And I just want to thank you for the extra work that the treasurer has taken to provide us this document so that we can try and be proactive and not have those types of things happen again to us. I think it's stressful not only to council, but the staff to have to deal with the inquiries. Just before I do that, Melissa, I'm just going to go through the rest of these questions here. If I have any more, I'm not sure. Oh, and just on page 12, just for clarification, I had asked why the HVAC permit section was blank. That's just a title, if people are wondering, and we're gonna bold the titles so they stand out. And, oh, I do have one question. So what is this? Okay, and then we did have a discussion on 2 items, and that might be in this discussion as well, about Schedule F and Schedule, this other one, Schedule D. Is that gonna come up in these
Yeah.
discussions? Okay, great. What was else? Okay, we were talking on item 16. There's other parking, all other parking violations. And I had just suggested that we needed that defined, that we listed them out, so. I think that was it. Oh, no, it's not. Oh, we had a lengthy discussion, I'm remembering everything we discussed now, about the outdoor sign. That's on page 20 of 2022.
That's also in here.
That's also in here, so we'll leave that discussion for the thorough report. And then the final thing was on page 2022. We are moving away from Facebook. So item number 10, it was suggested to change it to the bulletin board and township website, and that we would discontinue the use of the Township Hornepayne Arena Facebook page as well. And that was all the notes off of there. Okay, well, if it's all right with you, CAO, we'll go through the treasure. She can take us through this.
Of course, yes.
Melissa, would you like to come and join us at the table?
No, it's okay.
Sorry, I'm not giving you a choice. You need anything? There you go.
Be careful, you can't push it.
There's a rental fee for this year, you know that. Couple user fees, right?
Oh, that was
Keeping the
quick. That was quick. Okay, the floor is yours, Treasurer Melissa Chenier.
Okay, I have, no comments to anything until the second page. I have it highlighted in yellow there, the lottery licenses, they had it at 3 cents, but it should actually be percentage, not
Okay.
money.
Can I just give it a second? Counselor Kistemaker and Counselor Sheneman, do you have the document in front of you that was emailed to you, just to ensure that we're all on the same page? No pun intended? Okay,
Found it.
found it? Okay. So could you just repeat that again, Melissa?
So on the second page, the lottery license, Hemson had put in 3 cents there, so I just changed it to percentage, as that's a percentage, not a dollar figure. On the first page of Schedule B for Jet A fuel, the public works manager advised that he would like the surcharge to be either 10 or 15%, and the consultants agreed with that rather than the 5%. And the reason why the recommendation came from the public works manager is because we have to pay for hoses and filters and stuff like that, so we could recover our costs through the sale of this fuel.
I agree with that.
So
I agree
15
with
be
that.
more appropriate then. Thank you.
So are we going with the 15 then?
I'm good with 15.
Yeah. Council, 15%? Okay.
And I've got nothing on animal control. And on the building permits, I did send this to our chief building official, and he said that he was okay with all of the fees, and then he recommended adding a couple that are on the second page. He recommended increasing those ones as well, because they were remained status quo, and he said if we were gonna be increasing some of them, we should be increasing all of them. And then we had some discussion with the consultant about the building fees, and we expressed the council's concern, that little apprehensive about doubling the fees right off the bat, and asked if they would be willing to provide us with a phase-in schedule. And they said that if that was council's direction and they didn't want to go with the 100% increase right away, that they would provide us for that. So that's up for council's discussion.
Okay, we can stop and have that now. So in our meeting, we were discussing about the different, like if you look at group C, the different items there, or when you're doing renovations to your house, and then the square foot amount, so it was doubling. Everything was doubling. So if we want people to make improvements to their property, is that really how it's gonna
Not for
happen?
that at all.
No, so,
No. It's too, putting up another barrier to try and go forward in the community.
well, my concern is that people are gonna do it and we're not gonna know what the asset actually is, like, because we're trying to get them to have building permits, so that was my concern, so I agree with you, Peter. Counselor Stefanik, go ahead.
Phase it, no question, 100%,
Phase in.
100%. We both win. There's no losers in that one.
Counselor Kistemaker or Counselor Sheneman on the screen?
Fine with that, Madam Mayor.
Okay with the phased in approach? Okay,
I like the
Yes,
phased-in
thank you.
approach.
okay, so are we looking at, did they make a suggestion on the phased in, like 25%?
Well, I had asked, I said for an example, 4 years at 25%, but is there alternate ones that council would like to see, or is that what you're looking for 4 years?
I think that's fair.
Well, I think, I just want to have a bit of a discussion on this and hear from staff, because if we're phasing in every year, the prices are changing every year, and that is a bit of work. And is the goal, council, we want to get to what the consultant suggested, which is the full up 50%. When would you feel comfortable having that happen? In 4 years? Because we could do it over 4 years, or we could do it over three phases. Counselor Stefanik, go ahead.
And we have 3 more years left. Let's keep it with this council's mandate. It's 3
Within
years.
this,
That's our philosophy since we're on here.
yeah,
We
that's
should keep the
true.
philosophy,
It's less
Continue.
work for staff, and
Yeah.
it's good.
that would be my recommendation.
Okay, so I put this question to Melissa. What would be easier for you, Melissa? Is it easier to just do the 4 years every year, but we want it fully implemented by the end of our
So
term,
that's 2026?
2026, yeah.
It doesn't matter, I'll just tell them what council's direction is and they'll do it.
Okay, as long as you've got it on here. What happened to my page? Oh,
2026.
it's just blank on me. Okay, let's go back. Okay, so I'm gonna just get consensus from our hybrid participants, Counselor Kistemaker and Counselor Sheneman, that we're looking at a phased-in approach that it'd be fully phased in by 2026.
That's fine, Madam Mayor.
Okay, great. Okay, Melissa, you can carry on.
And is council in agreement with the chief building official's recommendations for the flat rates? For the increases that he recommended? There was no change put in by the consultants, but the chief building official recommended those increases.
Okay, Counselor Stefanik,
I'd
go
like to
ahead.
hear the treasurer's input as well on this one.
Oh, I think this one's a typo.
Which one?
Where did I get $125? I don't think he
Maybe
would,
it's for the demolition permit? Maybe it's on the wrong one, or?
It doesn't have.
no,
Wait.
because he did 50, 75, 50. That one is probably 50 as well.
The 125 is 50?
Yeah,
Okay.
and then 75, 50, and 50. I don't know where that 125 came from at all. Is there another one?
We're just gonna up your chair rental.
I think that, sorry.
No, yeah,
I think that if council is going for a phased approach for all the rest of them, that this recommendations be there too at 2026.
20%, thank you.
Okay, so are you recommending that we slowly increase these flat rates so
Yeah.
that it goes to this?
Yeah.
Okay.
In line with the rest of them.
Okay, just for our counselors on screen, that the two amounts of 125 are actually $50.
And demolition, 125.
Oh, and demolition is 125?
Yeah, I'm just trying to see the other blank ones that, because he filled in amounts for the blank ones.
Okay, so demolition is 125. Okay.
Is there anything for the fire alarm system?
Fire alarm system. Where's that?
It's
Oh, that one's there you go, 125 twice. Thanks, Eileen.
Okay.
Sorry about that, you guys.
No, that's all right. That's okay. Okay, so we have, so it's in your grids for the on screen, we have the 115s are both transferring up to $125. It's the demolition permit and the fire alarm systems. Those are going to 125. And I want to take the advice of our building official and increase these fees, but do it like the treasurer's suggesting with the phased in, and then at the end of our term, that's what they are. Okay, any further comments on that page or questions? Councillor Sheneman, go ahead.
No, I'm fine. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Okay. Carry on, Melissa.
So I have no comments on the wedding. In regards to the tipping fees, we didn't discuss this at all with the consultants this afternoon. The CEO and I were of the opinion that council may be looking to defer this particular schedule until the landfill expansion and recommendations come out of that particular project. So we didn't discuss it, and it would be our recommendation to put the old schedule for the tipping fees in the comprehensive user fee bylaw and then amend that once council's ready to move forward with the tipping fees, or move forward with it at this time. Up to you guys.
Okay, so just for clarification, we were looking at Schedule D and Schedule F in our discussion before the meeting with the CAO and the treasurer and myself, and talking about that we're in discussions for Schedule F already, like it's already happening. So I'm in favor of the suggestion, the first option from the treasurer, of continuing with the current Schedule F of the current tipping fees when we update the bylaw, and that we investigate the new Schedule F further upon our discussion of what we are going to be doing with our landfill contract. Councillor Stefanik, go ahead.
Agree.
Agree? Okay. Are we in agreement with that?
Yes.
Councillor Kistemaker Peter, yes. Councillor Kistemaker Belinda, go ahead.
I am.
Okay, great. And Councillor Sheneman, I'm seeing a nodding of the head, yes. Perfect. Okay, continue on.
Okay, so in the parking enforcement user fees and bylaws, the other parking violation is actually specified in our parking bylaw, and there's like a whole slew of them. So I could list them all out in this agreement or in the schedule and put $20 beside all of them. So then it's clear what each one is.
Yeah, I think that would be
Yeah.
the preference. I'm just trying to make it so that no one can
Yeah.
come back on us and say, whatever, well, you're in violation, you gotta pay. And in that discussion, because in our meeting, when I was asking this, we had thought that maybe this was for when we have temporary barriers put up. Was there any fee for that on there?
There's all kinds of things in that bylaw, and I didn't really realize until I had a look at it this afternoon. There's probably about 20 extra things that fall into this other parking.
Oh, okay, okay. And they're all $20?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, the public works user fees. So the material, it's being recommended by the consultants to add a markup of 20%, and the public work manager is suggesting that we have a markup of 100%. And the reason why he's suggesting this is because selling material he doesn't want that the township's main business to be selling material. So, and then other people would go to other providers to get this material rather than just coming to the Township of Hornepayne. And the consultants disagreed and indicated that we need to be careful in how we justify the markup because we're selling material at market value. And when we say market value, that's the market value deemed by the municipality. So the markup, they're providing a markup to cover our administration township costs in addition to what we're paying for.
Okay, go ahead.
I was just going to say, ask if the public works manager had anything else to add to the CAO.
Okay,
You
go
guys
ahead, Blaine.
try to explain this clearly for everybody to understand what I'm thinking. Is there a contractor's not going to sell gravel and stuff? If we sell it at 20% from what we paid for it, they pay the exact same amount we pay. They cannot make a profit of 20%. We're charging enough to be higher than what they're charging to sell the same product. We want the contractors to make money. We don't want to make money. It's not going to be, it will turn into our core project. Our core job is delivering material. We don't want that. We have to make sure we want to go to the contractor because that's where they should be going. So we have to charge enough to keep it above them. If they're absolutely stuck, we can provide it, but I don't want it to become our core business. That's the word I look at business.
Yeah.
And it will become our core business.
And I'm in agreement with the public works on that, and we've talked about this at this table about housing too, when we set up the housing corporation, that we're not gonna undercut businesses, we're gonna do we want them to be successful in our community, so Councillor Span.
Yeah, historically, I gotta speak historically, when I worked for municipality about 26 years ago, the municipal council at that time got a lot of problems because they were charging less than the contractors out there. And the local contractors, there's many more then, go back 25, 26, it was a massive upheaval at the council meeting upstairs. So I agree 100% markup, and only emergencies, we could help them out under direction of council if something that, they really need, whatever, flood or something's happening, but I agree 100% on markup.
Okay, any other further comments from council?
I agree with Dwayne.
Okay. Councillor Belinda Kistemaker or Councillor Ted Sheneman, any further comments on that?
No, that's fine.
I agree. Yeah. I agree.
Okay, great. I'm in agreement.
Okay, so the
Continue.
municipal chambers, they had it on this schedule as 25, but it was on the marriage schedule for 75. So they said that it should be 75. So we changed it on this schedule.
Okay.
I guess there was a little misunderstanding with me and the previous CAO and this CAO in regards to the tent rental. So the tent, in fact, is rental at $150, which is on another schedule. And then to set up the tent, for the municipal staff to set it up would be $350. So my understanding was it's $350, but in fact it's $500 altogether for the municipal staff to set up the tent and for them to rent the tent. So somewhere else, or I think it's the recreation, it says tent $150. So I think that there needs to be some council is aware that that's how it's structured, because I wasn't aware of that.
Okay, thank you for that. Just a question to council, are we renting out our tents and allowing people to put them up on their own?
What's the issue been like?
It hasn't been good.
Well, then it should be with our employees putting it up.
Okay. CAO, go ahead.
I agree.
Okay.
I've actually talked to quite a few municipalities, and they actually don't rent it out unless the staff is putting it up, because they don't get it back in good condition. Yeah.
Okay. And and that is enough, $350 covers all the costs of the staff to put up and take down?
Yeah.
It does?
I believe, we thought that was
Pretty close.
sufficient.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, yes, that's fair.
Okay, so it's the purview of council, what they want. If they want to put it at a $500 rental, that's the tent, and it includes, or we can have it separate. Councillor Stefanik,
Yeah,
it's up
I
to
think
you.
they should be higher. I'll tell you why. It's wear and tear. Sooner or later, we'll have to buy a new tent.
Mhm.
I think they should save money for a rainy day, and there'll be extra cost. We could put it in capital for a tent, because it's not gonna last forever. And then we'll end up purchasing it at a high cost. I think that 500 it's more valid,
Okay,
in my view.
And from the opinion of staff, go ahead, Dwayne.
We actually replaced all the actual tent material last year because of
Okay,
damaged.
it was all damaged. Okay, okay. So from your perspective, Melissa, is it better to have one fee, just one $500? Okay.
And then with the
And it
footnote?
includes that with the footnote?
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good.
And just at the bottom of that same page, it shows, the footnote says equipment rental fees indicated above do not include operating costs. So I was a bit concerned about that too when talking to the consultants today, because they added in an operator fee for use of all equipment at $50. So there was essentially two of them, and he indicated that they put that in the schedule so to remove this footnote.
Okay, so the footnote will be removed, but it's known, like, any of our equipment is always operated by our
Yeah.
operators.
Yeah, so
Okay,
the equipment must be operated by municipal staff. That would stay, it's just the money, like based on current wage plus 30%, that would come out because it's $50 up here already.
okay, and then we would keep the minimum charge 1 hour, no
Yeah.
prorating. and
Yeah.
no- Okay, yeah, I'm good with that. Is everyone clear with that? Okay, I'm not sure what's happening with Councillor Shannon. Did we lose him? I think we left.
I can speak to that.
Oh, yes, go ahead.
He emailed me to let me know that his laptop was dying, so he might have to call him on his phone, so it's just.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, he's back.
I can't keep that.
Welcome back, Councillor Shannon. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, we can hear you as well. Okay, is there anything further?
So on the recreation fee, Schedule I, I wanted council to have a discussion in regards to the public skating pass, because that originally came about from the Canada 150, so they've just added a cost to that Canada 150 and called it a public skating pass. But I was expecting them to do the adult under 18 senior monthly rate per day season. So I'm wondering if council was expecting the same thing, to have a traditional rate like that, or you just want to have one flat rate for public skating season pass?
I open up the floor to council. I know I'll just speak to it that we did put this low pass in place for the Canada 150, and it never got changed after that. We just kept saying, yeah, let's keep giving people that pass.
I like to keep it as it is, because I'll tell you why. Some people never go up there, because they felt it's a little too expensive. One time of the year, they got opportunity to go up there, there's less cost, the opportunity is there.
Okay, my suggestion, or my comment on this is when it's at 26.54 and you add the taxes, does it come out to an even amount?
No.
Okay, I would like to make it even, like if it's $30, like the final amount.
Okay. For all of them, or just that one specifically?
That one specifically, the rest of them are quite higher, but
Okay.
it, like a child will come up with that, might come up with that money and pay, right?
Okay.
That's my only thought on that, council. Do you have any further comments? No? Okay. Okay, you're good to carry on, Melissa.
Okay, so down to the weightlifting facility, we had amended the weight training facility, in our comprehensive user fee. So, but they were working with the old,
Sorry, I've lost.
oh, it's the same.
Wrong way. There we go, okay.
So they were using the old schedule, but we had already, revised it so in speaking with them, they've put their recommended percentage increase on the new thing, the new rates, and then remove the things that we've already removed. So I guess they had applied a 10% increase overall to all the recreation, so they just put a 10% increase on our current costs. Am I-
That's for the gym pass?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, I
because
would
we,
disagree with anything like that.
because we just increased it, eh? So we increased it. Okay, can you explain that again?
So-
Sorry.
So, the ones in here,
Yes,
those are 2 bylaws ago.
yes.
And then these ones are our new bylaw. So, and then these ones, they're their new recommendation. What they were doing, they were using an old bylaw when they were reviewing our fees.
Okay,
Not-
so these in the middle are the current fees.
Yes,
Oh, that are in place. These
Yes.
Current fees. I would give
Yes.
the recommendation to keep the current fees and not change them.
Agreed.
Agreed? The current fees? No?
Just a different thought.
Okay, yeah, go for it.
I like local tenants and just knowing people, we're in a small town, we all talk. And I realize we can't offer what city can offer, but we have the gym set up into it's not costing us hardly anything extra to run other than, little cleaning staff and whatnot. I just feel the prices are too high and it's actually inhibiting people from utilizing it.
Okay,
Just, it's a thought, I just want to put that out there and I feel that it's very expensive to get. And also, I would also like to add that, with key fobs in place and with cameras and whatnot, that I think are a great idea. Limiting the time, there's a time frame that they're not allowed to use it throughout the evening, and I don't see how that would, like, we have a lot of people that work for the CN, like yourself, that are shift work, and they like to go work out, say at 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning. We wouldn't catch me doing that, but there is people that would like that, and I think it would be better utilized that way if we let it, like, would there be a difference? And I'm asking, do you feel that it would be, if we had it 24 hours a day, because there's a key fob and there's accountability to everything now because we've got cameras and whatnot. We're set up for it, using it all of it.
okay, I'm just gonna reiterate some of your thought here. So you're thinking that if we lower the price somewhat,
Yeah.
because we've had additional services, we probably will end up we'll have more people using it, but probably back at the same amount of revenue we're bringing in now, or maybe more.
Yes.
Is that what that's your train of
I'm
thought?
thinking even if we should do a trial.
Even a trial,
Yeah, because it is very expensive.
right?
I wouldn't even want to compare it to anywhere else because we're very unique. We have a beautiful gym for the size of what we have to offer. I mean, it is very expensive for what the people get.
Okay, so, any further comments from council on that right now? I'm gonna seek staff input. Councilor Stanek, go ahead.
As opposed to rolling it back, I really don't like rolling back anything.
Mhm.
I see how the government operates, the federal government, what happened on their taxes and surtaxes. I would rather see it frozen for 2 years, like freeze the user fees and as opposed to roll back. That would be my donation.
Okay, and can you, elaborate on the federal government, what you're referring to?
They promised no taxes, the taxes being filed, remember Jean Cartier way back, no GST, and there was an election over that. And there's no way you're gonna take it back. He says he'll take it back when he won. He didn't take it. The GST became a reality. And once we roll this back, we'll just stop. It sets a precedent for other things to be rolled back. I wouldn't want to roll back anything.
Oh,
personally.
okay,
I really
okay,
don't.
okay,
It's a downhill battle then. I'd rather have it frozen.
okay. Any further comments from Councillor Kistenmaker or Councillor Shannon? Councillor Shannon, go ahead.
Yes, thanks, Madam Mayor. I have heard the same as Councillor Peter Kistenmaker, that there's certainly a reluctance of people to use the facility because of the cost in comparison to other communities and what they believe is fair value for what's offered. So I would certainly entertain the idea of a slight reduction to make it something that would be something that people would actually use and would be encouraged to use on an ongoing basis. I heard it from both CN employees and from people at the schools, teachers who have said, you know what, it's just cost prohibitive right now. So I would be certainly in agreement that a price reduction would increase the usership.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Shannon. Councillor Kistenmaker, do you have any comments at this time, or I'm going to go to staff for input?
I would like to hear from the staff.
Okay, thank you. And Eileen,
If I can
Yeah.
ask the public works
Yes,
manager
for
to
sure.
speak for me on this
Yeah.
issue.
cut the costs of the passes, we're gonna have less money to reinvest back in the equipment, which I've been trying to do. Nobody's seen yet, but I've put quite a bit of equipment in the last couple of years. Wouldn't want to lose the revenue coming in to try to do this. Some of the stuff needs to be upgraded. And the after hours thing for me, it's a safety for me more than anything. We already got 2 hours a night that we don't have any staff there already. Somebody gets pinned under something or something during the night, how are we gonna find them?
That's a good point. I like that. That's a good point. Never look at it that way. Two comments I had.
Okay, just a follow-up to that, to Dwayne, is anyone checking on that after the 2 hours, or
From 10 till 12, there might have no staff there.
no staff, eh? Okay. Any further comments, Sally?
If I can get the treasurer.
For sure.
I would agree with Dwayne. I wouldn't be in favor of reducing it. We have been, like Pete said, we purchased the camera and like we have to pay for those stuff. And then you have to factor in that we are injecting a large amount of money to do the upgrades, and we're gonna need additional money for that as well. So reducing, I don't think would be a very good recommendation.
Okay, the upgrades, like
For the arena
when we
upgrades,
move and stuff, or if we do the addition, or
Yeah.
I'm not sure what.
like if we're doing the
Okay.
upgrades to the arena to include the fitness facility,
Okay. Okay, Councilor Kissinger, go ahead.
And just, I told it, and thank you, Wayne, for the liability purposes. I think there's a lot of sense comments. I just grew up at it as a gym user from 30 years ago, and now also a taxpayer, and we do pay for good reason an awful lot of taxes, and it's just I'm getting the common consensus that people are getting, and I know we don't have a choice. It costs X amount of dollars to run the community as it is a business.
Mhm.
But value for the dollar, and that's what these little things like. So I look at it as the overhead and what it costs to actually run the gym. We utilize the lobby or the we talk the space away from the curlers. So the hydro's still being paid, the heat's still on. So the township is, no matter how you look at it, making money from it, even at a lower rate. So I will always go with what the group goes with, but I mean, or back it up. I don't, the taxes that we pay, the services that we have, I feel that we should be giving them a break. That's another way of looking at it.
Okay, so, on that note, is there, did we do any adjustments to their rates when we took part of the space away for the curling club season? Did we do that?
No.
At that time, no?
And that's another thing I worry about is the curlers are being affected, which isn't fair, but it's a necessity right now. And then the gym users are being affected in a negative way.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Melissa, go ahead.
I just want to also put it out there that when you reduce user fees, it gets subsidized by taxes. So if you're going to reduce the fees for the weight training facility users, then it's going to be subsidized because the taxes will go up as a result.
But currently, the user fees that are being generated from the weight room are not all being put back into weight facility equipment.
Well,
Like we're generating more.
because the curling club is being charged for all of the hydro when that's not really accurate.
Okay.
So it looks like the expenses for the curling or for the weight facility are low when in fact they're not, because they're still using the hydro and water and whatnot too. They're just not getting allocated those particular expenses.
And we know what the allocation for the hydro is for that curling club?
No.
Oh, who pays the bill for it?
Oh, well, we pay the bill for it, but we don't know what the split is between the club, the ice and the club room.
Oh, the ice in the club room. So even if we did it as a percentage, like 40%, there's no way to figure it out?
Because if I may, some of the lights that are main foyer are connected to the curling club, and some are onto the arena side. It's a mishmash of many things. And when I did a quote about 15 years ago, it would have been about $40,000 to change the whole system. And said, no, forget it, keep it as it is at that time.
Because I have to say, I am in favor with Peter, what he's saying is I do think that if we were to lower the price, we could get more users using it. But it's that, where is that sweet point? Because sometimes you overcharge and then people don't use it, and we found that. They were copying keys, they were lending keys, and they were using the facility for free, buying one membership, and cameras and fobs and all of this put in. So I am concerned that we did take away some of the space, but I understand you don't necessarily want to lower fees, but maybe there's another way that we can give back to that, but not on a permanent basis. Go ahead, Peter.
Two things was, human nature. No matter if we offered for $1, there'd still be people trying to get in for free. Second, it's about a gesture, and I've had conversations with people about this, but it's about how people can see what we're doing and what we're trying, and there's things in our power, and I agree with you about the taxes. But the part that is twisted in that remark was you lower that, the taxes go up, subsidized. But it's actually the gym users that are subsidizing the municipal taxes.
No, not necessarily.
No,
not at all.
$600 a year, it doesn't cost that much to run it because there's set fees that are already being paid. So it's all depends on what side of the page you want to read it on.
No, I think, just to clarify this point, so if we were to take the amount of heat and hydro it does cost to heat a space of that size, and the other expenses that would facilitate running its own facility, it would probably be it would be making some money, but I don't think it would be.
We'd have the heat turned off
So,
if it was, we didn't have the gym there.
no, because the curling club's there. Right, but then the curling
I'm
club.
just- I'm just
No,
looking at
I
it
understand it.
realistically,
I'm glad we're having this
Yes.
conversation.
And I'm bringing up what people have told me.
Yeah.
This is we're a steward of the people, right?
That's right, and they want to hear it, that
Yeah.
it's being brought to this table and we're having a fulsome
Yes.
discussion about it, for sure. I have no problem, like, that's what I want to hear. I'm glad to have it, yeah. Counselor Stefanik, did you want to say?
Yeah, I do,
comment?
actually.
Yeah, go ahead.
The biggest cost is not that hydro, it's the equipment. Do you know what industrial treadmill costs industrial right now?
Huge money.
Yeah, it's huge money yet to
If
replace.
you 50% of the user fees for that year, it'll be gone.
Yes, the
I've
only
been there
thing
26 years, I know
though,
what I bought. And the prices skyrocket like anything else, supply chain. Simple weights, 50-pound weights, dumbbells that are solid dumbbells at 50, 75, 100. It's like buying gold. If the fees, which you're suggesting, I respect that. I will not be buying equipment next 2 years, I guarantee. No equipment purchase because we will not be able to purchase equipment. So if they want to use the same equipment, lower fees.
see, I agree with that, Drago, but I would also like to see a plan so that we can actively tell our users what's going to be purchased.
Yeah,
Like-
have a spreadsheet, and then we talk about transparency and accountability. If you even show me a raise or decline or status quo frozen, we can justify it to our people. That's, I think, is the biggest thing, because that's one of the oddly debated things is the gym, and there's a few other things that we'll eventually get to.
Yeah.
So it's probably then, I think part of it might be communication, knowing that, hey,
Absolutely.
we have, and then putting it in there, like currently, yes, the weight room doesn't really have its own costs, but we could project some of those costs onto it, that this is what it would take.
Realistically, yes.
Yes, realistically, and then take that extra surplus if there is some, and then that's what goes to more equipment. Melissa, go ahead.
And you have to take into consideration too, that the salary and wages that we're paying up there, like that all gets allocated to the arena, and that's a big expense. And you can make the argument that, yeah, those salary and wages are there regardless, but it's taking away from some of the duties that can be done at the arena when you're spending time in the curling club and in the weightlifting facility.
Right. yeah, there's other allocations that could be there.
Mhm.
So could we, how, and that's the one thing I don't wanna suggest is more work for the staff. How hard would it be, Melissa, to say like just even just a history of the last few seasons of what we've actually put back into it, the revenue brought in and the revenue put out, and then, you know, if it's within reason, I think our people will understand that.
Yeah, is that something we could have as a list of what we've invested into the weight room facility?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be good communication and applauding staff and what work's been done. I think that's a
Yeah, we
good,
gotta work as a group,
yeah.
and it's, yeah, everybody understands and.
Counselor.
You were here actually 40 years ago. We hired a staff member specifically for
Mhm.
cleaning.
Mhm.
That was I remember discussing it at the table, the arguments. That was a massive cost. We had one person coming in 4 hours per day, one because the place was filthy, all right? We knew that. And it became pretty hefty cost to us.
Mhm. Do you want to go ahead?
I don't think we put in the extra cost for the extra new heaters and all that stuff, I had to change out and lighting and.
Mhm.
Okay. So yeah, if we could get a list of those things, and then I think if we put that
Yeah, if it's
advertisement out
directly
there.
attributed to the gym,
Yeah.
the upkeep and the, you know, all the
Mhm.
maintenance and.
And then even too, what's coming, like what else are we looking at projecting to improve there?
But
What
going
needs to be
forward,
improved? Yeah,
then if we're all in agreement, I would like to see at least, if we can get that going for now and then, keep the rates the same at least.
yeah, and I'm an advocate to keep them what they are, the middle.
Mhm.
Like I don't want to change, I would rather them stay the current scheduling, we just increased them 2 years ago. They're not actually that far off, they're actually like, it's, and then revisit it.
As I said earlier, repeat
Counselor
myself, I have no problem freezing for 2 years. And then you can let's follow the trend, see what happened with the revenues coming in. And that's, I think, more than fair.
Mhm.
Because I really don't want to roll back anything back. Because we end up doing everything else. We
Right.
start a massive problem, in my opinion.
Mhm. Okay, Counselor Shannon, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll disagree with Councillor Stefanik in that when you start that, you open the door. We've already done it with the canteen. We've already opened that where it would be no charge for a not-for-profit or for that community use. And I really believe the usership would rise significantly enough to be able to offset that by and still have adequate funding to be able to maintain and purchase new equipment when that comes on. The usership is, I would think, is much lower in proportion to other communities that have a facility, and that pricing is the main, and the access and the 24-hour access. I can compare it with Kirkland Lake and be able to say that, you know, I know the people that would use that facility, and when I was there and did use that facility in a 24-hour period because of schedule. And I believe here we would have the same, that usership would rise and rise significantly if it was available. So this time I will politely disagree with Councillor Stefanik on this issue.
Okay, thank you, Counselor Shannon. I do think that I would like to have consensus from council on the hours. I am concerned about having the facility open when we don't have staff and who is monitoring and for the safety of that. And unless we came up with a good resolution to that, I would like to just maintain the status quo of the hours available at this time.
I would
So
agree with that.
you agree with that?
Wait,
Okay, and I do agree with you, Counselor Shannon, though I do think it would increase usership, but until we can safely provide that service, I am not prepared to move on that. The 2 hours is already causing me frustration now that I know it. Go ahead, Counselor Smith.
yeah, I'm listening to Councilor Dead. I respect what he's saying. You know what? I will take the bullet and I would do a trial basis. And the canteen has no consequences for the user fees. That was for nonprofit groups that are trying to fundraise money. So we're comparing apples and oranges in that respect. So there's two different things. I have no problem if to have a trial program for 3 months and do high profile marketing, and we'll see where the cookies crumble. Will we have a 30% increase in user fees? I don't know if that's the case, but I'm open-minded. I wouldn't mind trying if if I'm hearing for 2 members of council that attendance will skyrocket, which I basically heard.
Well, I think the skyrocketing is coming from a 24-hour, it would be a
No, it'd be
24-hour.
much more than is currently, I'm told. Is that correct?
Yeah, but it would be in combination with a 24-hour use. At this time, I think it would be in our best interest as a council to continue with the current funding, the current outlay that we've proposed, allow staff to create that report of all the investments we've made and look forward to all the investments coming and put that good news out to the public. Because that's the other part too, is if they don't know exactly what we're doing and that if we're communicating with the public that these good things are happening, we're increasing safety, we've installed the fobs, and looking at what equipment will be refurbished or enhanced. Those things need to be out there because then other people are going to hear about them as well, not even the facility users. So when someone is complaining or disagreeing that investments have been made, people know the facts and they're out there. So I think we should move forward with that first. I would be reluctant to do a 3-month promo. I'm going to say it straight out. The staff does not have time to do a 3-month promo. That's just like, we have things, I'm sorry, bigger fish to fry, so to speak, that's coming. And so that's my take on that, Councillor Stanek. Okay, so if we can get consensus on this and move forward, unless there's any further comment at this time on this, and what I'm looking at consensus is that we stay with the current rate structure within, no increases coming, and the staff will provide a report of what's been invested and investments to come, and that we move forward with that, and no change to hours either at that point. Treasurer, go ahead.
So it's just some direction. How far back would you like us to go for what we've invested in the fitness facility? How many years?
I think the current term of council, the 2018 to 2022, and then because we're doing our strategic planning for this term, and then looking at that, okay? Because I think the one thing I would like to just say to this council, to staff, I think there has been a lot of work done in the background. We have been the only council, I think, that's actually sat down and met with the facility users and trying to hear what they need and balance all of these other priorities we have. So it's not that we're not listening, we have to manage the priorities. And if we do make a move, we're gonna have to buy new equipment. We need money for that. So, because we have a bigger space to fill. So with that, do I have consensus on that from council?
I agree.
On those items?
Sorry, Madam Mayor.
Yes, go ahead.
Madam Mayor, I had a hand raised. Could the report include the user history, the usership history up to the current to see the trend, please?
Good point, Councillor Sheneman. Thank you for that. And I apologize for not seeing your hand. Okay, if there's no further comments on this topic, that's my agenda, that's 8.4. Oh, sorry, Melissa, there is further comment. Let's continue.
2 more pages.
Trying to move her along here.
I almost did. So they're schedule. Oh my gosh.
Schedule I, and it's the top 6 pavilion rental.
Okay, thank you.
I could be wrong, but.
So there's quite a few items on here. The tent rentals, we'll just take that right off of here because it's already, we got it on the other section. The tennis court rental, the baseball field, and the park rental. So the CEO and I were kind of concerned about that. Like, how do you charge people to use open spaces and like what was the purpose of that? And they kind of just told us that like anybody can go walk into an open space and use the field or use the facility or what have you. Said, but if you want a designated a team or a league to rent the field, and parks, if somebody wants to have a family picnic or a birthday, you would have a designated area in the park where they could rent, where they would have exclusive rights to that, and then no one else would be able to use that area while they've got that rented. So I don't know if council wants to move forward with that, so we just wanted to get clarification on it. And
Well, I do have a comment, Ted.
Okay.
Do we have any other comments from council on those two items for the tennis court and baseball field rentals?
Good.
Okay, I do have a comment that I think that because I was kind of concerned about this, because I don't want to, this isn't for the average person that's gonna go play tennis. But in the case that we have a beer gardens, how is that paid for? Because they need to rent the space from us. That's where I went. And then once we have the ball field up at the new arena facility, do they, like if we were to have a big, drive-in movie night on the ball field or something like that, that's where I would look at the fees, that there has to be like baseball tournaments. Because do we not rent the ice for hockey tournaments?
yes,
So do we rent the field for baseball tournaments?
we haven't before, so they've added this in as an additional revenue generating mechanism.
So if they're gonna be using the facility for the entire weekend, we don't get any money off of that?
No,
So that seems inconsistent to me. We take care of the arena, we take care of the ball field.
And if I may, there was things that's happened in the past that I've personally been involved with, was like say chair rentals and whatnot, where they have beer gardens.
Mm-hmm.
I think it depends on what they're doing it for. So if it was like, say, they did bought a new stereo lamp for the arena, the organization that did it had to pay for the chair rental and all that, pay the township, and then all the money that was revenue generated profit, they gave that back to the town to buy so things like if they're doing something that better the town, I think then we should waive it, right? If it's fundraiser. But if it's a baseball tournament or like a hockey tournament, I totally agree that there's nothing different than, when our kids go play hockey, we have to pay a fee to use it,
Mm-hmm.
and that totally makes sense. Because you've got people that extra staff and you should be making something off of it.
Yeah, so I do think there needs to be fees there. I'm not sure what they are, and I think these are actually too low in the sense of looking at it that way. I don't know what we charge for our arena facility, but we're going to have a brand new ball facility, and you're gonna have more service up there now, right? Because you're going to have the washrooms and all of that available to you. So, sorry, where's that?
so the hockey tournament per day is $109, and then 2 days it's $12.14.
For the hockey tournament. So I guess maybe, I'm not sure if we want to, like, where did they get the fees for that? Did they, do other communities charge for their ball fields?
These are,
Yeah,
Sorry, no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, it looks like these are all new, right?
Yeah,
So
they are new.
They created them. I don't know where they got the averages from.
Dwayne, yeah, go ahead,
See,
Dwayne.
Per hour, $10 per hour.
Yeah,
Oh, what?
Oh,
the tennis
per
courts
hour.
is per hour and so is the baseball field.
Okay,
But the park is per day.
okay, we took the tent rental over there. I would rather just do a flat fee than a per hour.
Mm,
I'm not sure. I looked at council. Council, what are your thoughts on this? They are new fees. Councilor Stefanik, go ahead.
Yeah, from my past experience in my previous life, all municipalities charge for ball fields, all of them.
Mhm.
Some do per hour, some do per day. I know St. Timmins, that's for a fact. That's what they do. Yeah, Station Ontario, the same thing. First Ontario, that's a fact. So you have, because you have people cutting the grass, you have people weeding the grass and maintaining, so there's a cost involved. And it gets where, if you have a tournament 3 days, the turf takes a real pounding.
and staff will have to go on Monday and repair stuff and then field. What happened here, majority of work that was done on that ball field was done by volunteers, 100%. There was no cost to us. They bought their own material. They built their own dugouts. So the reason there was no cost there for the last 27 years.
No capital costs.
No capital.
We did all the maintenance. I
And
just
the
want
only
to
thing we did,
clarify.
no, the only thing we did was cut the grass. That is all. Matter of fact, they cut the grass as well. If there was a problem with during tournaments, and they maintained the infield. If there was raining, they would burn off the water. I mean, they did 99% of the stuff, and that's why there was no cost
Okay,
because they provided a lot of stuff back to us.
right, but
But
that
once we
hasn't
set
been
the
happening.
facility now, it would be different.
Okay, but I don't even think that's been happening for quite
No,
some
no,
time.
not for last,
The staff is.
Not for the last 14 years or
Yeah,
so.
okay, yeah, so I was like the
No,
last.
not last
I've been
14,
on council.
13, 14 years now. Correct.
Okay,
But that was previous history.
okay, go ahead.
I just have a question for Drago, if I
Yeah,
may.
go ahead.
So when we have hockey tournaments, we have the facility man who would run the Zamboni and stuff. So if there's baseball tournaments in, say, Timmins and stuff, do they have staff men there who would go and do the lines and everything in
Some
between,
do.
in between
Some do
games?
that because you're charging the rental, it's just like doing the ice, and they would have a summer student doing the lines and the things that are maintenance, and it's a massive tournament, many teams, you have to scrape the infield in between innings as well, you gotta rake it for liability, it has to be flat, so those are some do and some don't.
Okay, so for those two rates then, I put that to Counselor Kistenmaker. Belinda, go ahead.
Instead of saying tennis court rental, could it be tennis court event? Baseball fields, instead of saying baseball field rental, say event, and have just a fee for that. Just a suggestion.
Yeah, I like that suggestion. Just clarifies, because I was kind of concerned. I wasn't trying to rent the tennis court to someone that wanted to go play tennis for an hour. I was like, okay, that's,
Yeah, that makes sense.
okay, so some of the, just going down, I'm good with the pavilion rental. I am good with having a baseball field rental. But I think if we are renting the pavilion, there has to be some sort, like we have to invest in some sort of roping or some sort of signage that it is rented and it's not for public use. Melissa, do you have a comment on this?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I missed something during our senior management team meeting. We did discuss this pavilion rental and we thought it was a little bit low. And we were actually suggesting $50 without electricity and $100 with electricity. Forgot all about that, sorry about that.
150.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm good with your suggestion. Go ahead, Councilor Stanek.
Yeah, I'm the opposite side of this one actually, versus what we're talking about Mary's. That facility since was open, because I kept track, there was 4 special events in there, okay? Now let's tack on something to it, that nobody's gonna use it. There was volunteer labor that put it together. So are we gonna shut it down, put a lock on it and say can't use? No, we're not saying nonprofit, but for example, churches, do a fundraiser, are we gonna charge them? I don't think so. Any nonprofit group, we should encourage them to use it. Last year was used twice. And it's sitting there and it's being deteriorated by the elements, so let's encourage the use. I mean, this should be the cost of the hydro, no question. But, and these bunch of kids running around vandalizing, that's the biggest issue the last 2 years. It hasn't been used, it has not been used.
I do think there should be a rate, because if someone wanted to use it, for example, for a wedding.
Yeah.
They need to have the facility all to themselves.
I agree.
Like, or if they, for something, right? Or if they were doing a summer birthday party.
Right.
So I do think there should be a rate, but I am in agreement that it's for those special events where you want it private, where it's becoming a
Yes.
private event function.
100%.
If that, council, are you in agreement with that? But nonprofits, and you want to have lunch there, and as long as you're not closing it off to other users, then you can use it. But as soon as you want it for your own use, then you gotta pay for it.
100%.
Yeah, and that was
Does that
from past council that did actually build that, a lot of, put all their own manpower into it, their own personal time. And, The one guy that he did tell me, he says he encourages like even the kids going in and out, and that was the whole idea of it was not to close it off the community, to make it accessible to everybody.
Right.
But you're right, exclusivity of any kind should come at.
100%.
Yeah, if you want a price. So I do think there should be a price for that, and I do agree it should be, at the staff's recommendation of $150. And there should be a price for no matter who it is for electricity. You want electricity, there should be, like, you're not hindering it, but I do think we should be paying for, that people should be paying for that. I don't know how council feels on that. And I don't see, if there's an event being coordinated, I don't see that being a hindrance. I see that as being fair, that you're gonna plug in all your equipment and you have a, I don't know, like a $50 or $30 fee just to plug in your equipment.
Yeah.
Does that seem?
Yeah.
Cause we can lock, it's locked now, isn't it, the electricity? So we have, like, staff has to lock it, there's staff time, there's things.
100%.
Okay, so do we want to keep that as, so per day with electricity at 100, per day without electricity at 50? And then do we want to have a $50 fee per day if they want to use electricity? Because they're not getting the exclusive rights to the pavilion, they're just using the electricity. Does that seem fair?
$50 per day for electricity?
Yeah, just electricity. And then that person, like, is that, that's enough money to go lock it and then relock it? Does that seem
Yeah.
reasonable, council?
You're not paying for the $50 doesn't to cover the electricity, it's to cover the cost of turning it on and taking it back, like, yes.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah, and there's a responsibility there. You got breakers open, that
Yes.
it's gonna be open while it's in use, and someone has to come and apply it. Like, there has to be some sort of, form or something that you fill out to get that use too, right? Like,
For
you have,
liability.
for liability, yeah. I can't wait till I get my glasses. I went and got them, council. I stopped looking over you. Counselor. Melissa, go ahead.
Okay, so just so I can get this all straight. So pavilion rental for events only, $50. But anybody for pavilion rental, if they want to use electricity, $50 and no $100 at all.
No, there's $100 if someone wants to use the pavilion with electricity, because they're getting exclusive rights to the pavilion and to the electricity. That's it. But the electricity is if you have, like, say, one of the church groups has a sing song and they need electricity. Well, we have to, someone has to sign that form to get the electricity, and then there's a fee for that.
And then an additional $50 per day. What?
No, so go ahead.
I was just gonna say, so is it pavilion rental per day with electricity, 100?
Yeah.
Pavilion rental per day without electricity, $50?
Yes,
And this is for the pavilion for, like, private events?
yes,
So let's say a wedding, a birthday, etc.
yes.
But then if they just want to use the electricity at the pavilion, but not for an event, then it's $50.
Yes, or it could be for an event, but it's access to anyone can come to it.
Yeah.
It's an open event. You're not taking control of the pavilion.
So it's not.
Okay,
Yes,
for use of electricity at the pavilion.
yes.
Oh, got it.
Mhm.
And then we can, I don't know if this is something like on the application to get that. Like, I'm not sure how we don't rent out the pavilion right now because it's brand new. But there'll have to be some sort of form, and if they want, because I'm thinking of Terry Fox, we use electricity.
Mhm.
The town partners for that event. There is a place where you wouldn't charge, it would be zero, but someone still needs to fill out that form. And then we could have it that, like, if it's a partnership with the town or some use, it's waived. And I think that would fall under your authority allegation.
We as the library also utilize it.
Yes, and that's a town
Before COVID, yeah.
event. You're underneath the town there, so that's,
Sorry,
go ahead.
I was just gonna suggest, maybe we should change the name of pavilion rental to, like, private pavilion rental or something, pavilion rental dash private, something to indicate that those two rates are just for when it's a private event, and you could put examples, I don't know, that
Okay.
could be too much information. right? Just
Yeah.
so otherwise it's unclear, it gets confusing.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, I think we beat that one to death there.
Wait, still up.
No, we still, yeah,
Oh,
we
we're not
still,
done. Go ahead.
we didn't give us a rate for tennis court and baseball fields.
$1 million.
$1 million.
I think, you know what? I don't know what to make that rate. I would put, sorry to give staff some work, but I would find out from other communities what that rate is, because we don't want to put ourselves out of the competition for that. If council's good with that,
And what
they
do you
can,
offer?
yeah, what they offer.
Okay,
Okay,
outdoor sign rental, so they told us today that they think that $3 was a typo, so we are suggesting the rental of equipment. So if you actually want to take the signboard with the trailer and park it at your house and advertise on it, then it's gonna cost $50 a day. But if you want us to advertise on the signboard in front of the town hall or at the airport or whatever, then I have $120 a day there. $20 a day,
Yeah.
or no, $10 a day for a minimum of 3 days. Is that what we said?
Yes.
Yeah, $10 a day for a minimum of 3 days.
That's good.
okay, but the other thing though too is is $10 actually set the sign, you can put that signage up in $10 worth of time?
Well, it's a minimum of 3.
The minimum.
So,
Oh, it's $30 a day, okay, right.
No, $30.
Yeah,
minimum of
$30.
so it'll be $30.
$30, okay. I'm good with that.
Going once, going twice.
Okay, but that's at township locations, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then skate rentals and snowshoe rentals, we thought $3 was lower. Skate rentals, we talked about $5 to $7. Snowshoe, $10 to $15.
How much for the ski rentals?
They suggested 3. We thought it was low. We figured 5 to 7.
Excuse me.
Okay, the snowshoe rental, that was part of our grant, our $100,000 access grant?
No, I think that we purchased that with COVID dollars.
Oh, COVID dollars? There was no, like we were okay to charge for those is my
Yeah, oh,
question?
yeah. And the public works managers suggested that maybe we increase these prices because over time we're gonna have to replace them as they get used and wear down. So we can get some money from that replacement costs.
Are we good with $5 and $10 for skate rental and snowshoe rental? And that's per day or per session or?
Per day?
Pretty.
Per day.
Any further comment on that? Is the council in agreement with that, to have that on the bylaw? Okay,
And the last thing, I wanted council to discuss is the cemetery fee. So, there was a typo in in the bottom thing, so they moved that to $660 or $600, sorry. But, they didn't add any additional revenue generating things to the schedule. They just, increased the fees of what we are already selling or already providing. So I was wondering if council was looking at getting, charging people for other additional costs like, scattering remains,
storage.
yeah, storage in the vault.
Okay, first of all, I don't think we can scatter remains.
Yeah, it's in the fee schedule.
Really?
Yeah,
Wherever the wind blows.
like we can, like put this off and we can do some more, investigating on it if, that's what council wants. But it says that scatter
We're gonna
remains.
have to check on that. Councillor Shannon, go ahead.
I do believe you're right, Madam Mayor. I do not believe we're allowed to scatter remains anymore in
No.
public.
Okay, well, we can look into
We're
it
gonna
for sure.
update, yeah, we better look into it, yeah. Thank you, Councillor Shannon.
Get in my yard.
And also another point that I wanted to ask is their recommended fees, do you think that that's enough increase? Because they've indicated that our fees are well below their benchmarking that they did. So my suggestion would be for at this time, we would put maybe these fees, their suggested fees in the new bylaw, but then do some work to check out some other revenue generating things that we can get from the cemetery.
Was there been somewhere there was for storage too?
Yeah, well, we were thinking that we could maybe get charged for putting the storage in the vault until spring comes, but if council doesn't want to do that, then that's fine.
I like the idea, the suggestion. The only problem I have is the only reason why we have it in the first place because we can't provide the service in the dead of winter.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
that's where I
I think most places that way you can't provide it in the winter time unless they really get big equipment for it.
yeah. Excuse me. That's the joys of living up north, right?
Councilor Kistemaker, Belinda, go ahead.
I wouldn't feel good about charging someone for storage when just because that person died in the winter time. That just doesn't feel right.
Good point.
For
Very
P-wise.
considerate.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just not considerate.
Okay, yeah, I do agree, Councillor Kistemaker, and thank you for pointing that out. I am in complete agreement with you. And I really like the treasurer's suggestion. My only comment is that we're lowering amount that we already charge a current fee that's higher.
Yeah, that's what they said, that was a typo, so they've
Okay, that
provided
was the typo.
$600.
Okay, so I would, okay, so our current fee and then going 600. I would be in favor of doing the recommended fees that Hempson has put here. And we do have some research that can be done, because one of the items that may be a consideration is, I know for myself, and I'm not sure exactly how this works, but I would be willing to pay the cemetery operators someone to take care of a site, to ensure that it was okay, that it was always, like, I would be willing to pay an extra fee every year to have that. And I'm not sure if other cemeteries do that above and beyond, like I know that when you collect, there's a care and maintenance fee, but families may want that. They may want that service. So I would look into something like that where there's a fee. Councillor Shinneman, go ahead.
I do believe in Ontario, you cannot, unless it's been rectified or changed, you cannot charge over and above the maintenance fee, or you weren't up until at least 2017, I believe you could not charge an extra fee for that maintenance. Unless it's been changed since then, but up to 2017, I'm fairly positive that you could not charge another fee.
So the care.
For the care and the maintenance you're talking about, correct, Councillor Shinneman?
Exactly, Madam Mayor, exactly.
Yeah, I'm more talking about offering maybe further services above and beyond the care and maintenance. Say the installation of a flower pot, like we would say what it is, like it would be like a plastic type flower or something that went on the headstone and it got removed at the end of the season. That's more what I was thinking of, something of that, like a specialty care. Go ahead, Councillor Shannon.
I believe that you'll find that most cemeteries are trying to stay away from anything that makes it that the maintenance would have to stop its machine, get off, move something. And that's why they went to flat headstones that would be drive over to be able to be run over, and they're trying to eliminate having anything else in the way so that it would take an operator more time to be able to do that. Plus the chance of damaging somebody has a flower arrangement and the vase or the container gets broken and then whose responsibility is. So I think you'll find most cemeteries are trying to eliminate anything above ground.
Okay, thank you for that, Councillor Shannon. Go ahead.
So just to clarify in regards to the care and maintenance, for niches, it's, there's a set fee, which I believe is $165, or it's 15% of the total sales. And then the other ones for the markers and the interim fees, those care and maintenances are a set fee as well, or 40% of the total sales. And the care and maintenance is not funds that we get to spend. The care and maintenance has to be deposited right into the cemetery trust fund. So we don't see those dollars. We just collect them on behalf of the cemetery trust fund, and it goes straight to them. So to increase the care and maintenance doesn't have any relevance on us. That's strictly regulated, and we don't see that money anyways.
Okay. Okay, so to move forward, we're looking at, do we want to implement the current Hempson recommended fees and then have staff investigate further items that we could do to improve our cemetery area and other fees that we may be able to possibly implement? And I do think there are things that we could implement. When I was on the cemetery board, we talked, I know we need to still implement our information board that needs to be put up out there. There are some improvements that we could do. And at the time, we had talked at the cemetery board at that time was putting cedar hedges all the way around the facility, all the way around instead of the fencing. And that might be an area where someone buys the cedar hedge, where we offer that. You can buy the next section at a price, and it's not a cost that we incur at all. So that, I think there is some room to make improvements there and look at what we can do. And I do agree with you, Councillor Sheneman, about the ease of maintenance. Those were heavy discussions when we were there at the cemetery board, ensuring that it was easier to maintain and taking some of the in-ground spikes and the lighting and stuff that people put. It got pretty labor intensive. Okay, so if there's any further comments, are we good to have the Hempson recommended fee included in the schedule at this time?
Agreed.
Agreed.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Schoeneman. Councillor Kistemaker, Belinda? You agree, or you want to speak? Sorry. Okay, she agrees. Okay, go ahead.
So just one last thing that I wanted to ask council direction for. So all of these fees would be included in the comprehensive bylaw, and I would like to take the planning fee that was recently adopted to and rescind that one out of it, so all of our fees are all together in one bylaw.
I'm fine with that. We're not changing anything. We're just moving it around. Yeah, that's fine. As long as we know within our planning document where we find it, freeze.
Yeah.
Okay. Council, we're in agreement with that?
Yes.
Agreed.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Melissa. Okay, so that'll come back to council for approval on April 5th. Is that coming back? April 5th. Okay. Okay, well, thank you, council, for that lively discussion. I think meeting back in person has its benefits.
Absolutely.
I'm going back to virtual.
Oh.
Just kidding.
Okay, so we are moving on to item number 10, our adjournment. If I can get a mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Ted Sheneman, second by Councillor Belinda Kistemaker. Be it resolved that bylaw number 1989 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council at their regular meeting held on Wednesday, March 22nd, 2023, be hereby read a first and second time, be considered read a third time and finally passed. Those in favor? And that is carried, none opposed. Adjourning of the meeting, moved by Councillor Greg Stefanik, second by Councillor Peter Kistemaker. Be it resolved that council does hereby adjourn this regular meeting of council held on Wednesday, March 22nd, 2023 at 8:26 p.m. Those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you, council. Have a great evening, everyone.